Hello and welcome to Political Debate, a show where average people discuss very important topics. I'm your host, Michael Davies. Tonight's topic is the presidential election of 2012. My discussion panel tonight consists of two student voters, Susan Tillman and Jason Dykman, from Voting District 9, who are ready and willing to tackle this divisive subject. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having
us. Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive right into the first question. Do you believe the Obama administration has helped or hurt the economic crisis? Susan, we'll start with you.
I definitely think Obama made some pretty bad decisions as far as the stimulus package. I mean, $1 trillion, it's going to take years and years to recover that. It just put our economy in a bad situation, bad to worse.
Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people disagree with that, though. A lot of people say, well, it wasn't Obama's fault. It was Bush's fault. Or they even go back and say it was Clinton's fault. So, I don't know if you can say that the whole issue of yeah, I agree. He spent way too much money.
$787 billion.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But the thing is, trying to put the blame all on him,
So what you're saying is that you think he should have spent the money.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, blaming him. There's so many people that just straight out blame Obama for the problem instead of actually trying to find the problem. They just throw the blame on him. Maybe look back and see, was it Bush? He was the one that brought us into war. Or was it Clinton?
What they've been doing this whole 4 years is trying to look back and blame people?
Oh, Obama has. But I'm saying the conservative has been saying, well, it's all Obama's fault. Yeah, Obama's trying to throw the blame on everybody else. It's just a huge blame game.
Right.
That's all that's going on.
That's all politics is.
Yeah.
So. Remember, the stimulus package was enacted in order to save the banks that were too big to fail because Congress thought that if the banks failed, then the whole entire system would fail. Do you guys believe that the banks were indeed too big to fail, or do you think they overreacted and the banks suckered the government into giving them basically money for bonuses or other wasteful things?
Can I take one first?
Go ahead, Jason.
The whole situation with giving bailouts is ridiculous. The way that any other business, runs is if they fail, they fail. They don't go running to the government saying, please help me. I want to I want to take my elaborate vacation. I think that giving the banks a bailout was a mistake. Giving the car industry was a mistake because, my dad actually retired from Chrysler, and he did it just in time. But still, after all these companies, the banks and the car industry, after they received all these bailouts, they still made same stupid decisions that got them in the place that they were, and in a shorter amount of time, they were back under. So it was ridiculous for them to do that.
Susan?
Yeah, absolutely. If we're looking at blame, right? So Lehman Brothers, one of the biggest, companies that we bailed out, their CEO was there for 30 years. It was a 30-year span of him getting approved these loans and this financial system that they put in place. There was people in our government that approved all this, right? And for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, he definitely massaged the system. It's a game of what you can get away with, how you can stretch rules, and, it crashed. And not only was it our government that was in charge of that, and then on top of it, this day, we're still giving bonuses, right? And so on top of cooking the books, we're still giving bonuses, and no one went to jail. I mean, if I were to steal and cook my books, and I walked away, I sold my $34 billion house or $1 million house to my wife for $100, and then I walked away scot-free. I didn't have to pay any of that bonus money back, right, as a CEO. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's somebody in the government that he knows, or he would be in jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some would consider that robbery, and that has gone on a lot over the past decade. If you remember Enron, 2001 went from being a company with over $100 billion in revenue to a company that was suddenly bankrupt. So obviously this has been a reoccurring theme where corporations have been bankrupting themselves and looking to somebody else to help bail them out.
Yeah, but somebody there actually went to jail too. You
Yeah,
know, like
indeed.
their CEO and their financial guy went to jail. But with
Accounting
all these
fraud.
Yeah, but all these bank CEOs,
Got away.
where are they?
Or the government officials that gave
They
them.
got bonuses. They actually received bonuses after the payout. And they're still, there's another thing going on right now. They're still wanting bonus money.
Do you think because the Enron situation happened, it made everything else look not as bad, and therefore the CEOs got away with it? Or do you think maybe the CEOs just made a case that looks like they were helpless, and do you think they used the economy as a scapegoat for their poor accounting practices, or do you think it's totally unrelated?
No, it's unrelated. You know, I can't remember the name of the accounting system that they had kind of conjured up, but it had nothing to do with how Enron was putting their stuff together. They were they were more brokering out these mortgages and borrowing money on mortgages that, you know, people had flexible arms, and when those arms went up, they couldn't afford it. Right? They were giving loans to people that actually couldn't afford the loans.
Creating the housing bubble, which eventually bursts.
Right.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's go more in the direction of the next upcoming presidential election. Who is your favorite candidate and why? Let's start with Jason.
I have to say Bachmann. I like, crazy, man. She's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So, either that or Kane, because we all know what Kane did. And hey,
Godfather's Pizza.
yep, Godfather's Pizza.
They
and
do
then-
make some okay pizza. It's not the best, which worries me about how his performance was.
He did grab the woman's rear or whatever it was. He was
Really?
groping women. So
So he
I
actually
mean, wouldn't that be
admitted
great
it?
to have in the well, that's
I only saw
under
one piece of
investigation
that,
now.
but
Yeah, but Bachmann, definitely Bachmann. I like a crazy person. It'd be great to have somebody that's openly crazy in office instead of all these people that try to act normal, but they're really,
yeah, honestly, I have a hard time watching the candidate debates, and all they're doing is slinging mud at each other and trying to make each other look bad, and we're not really talking about issues. It's all about blame and pointing fingers and who can look the worst. So I have no opinion on that at all.
To expand on the sexual harassment thing, statistically speaking, it does seem to go over well with the people when the president can do that and cover it up, as we remember Bill Clinton, who had exceedingly high approval rates and also got the economy out of a deficit to an actual surplus while simultaneously being tried for sexual harassment charges. Anyway, moving on. Newt Gingrich, a Republican candidate for the 2012 election and former Speaker of the House, believes that health care should remain in the public sector and taken out of the private sector. If he were to be elected to office, do you think this stand on health care would help or hurt the American citizens? I'll start with you, Susan.
Well, I think, healthcare in general has made a couple good decisions just in the past year. One is the fact that they're not doing precondition, and it's provided a lot of people who didn't have health care now get health care. I think anything that the government will run, unfortunately, there's no checks and balances. So,
Well, I'm going to have to stop you there, Susan. That's all the time we have for tonight. Susan, Jason, thank you for expressing your opinions with us, and try not to kill each other in the parking lot. Join us next week when we discuss gay marriage and abortion. Thanks for tuning in, and
come on.
I never hit a